Hey, welcome back to another edition of Open Shutter. Have the pleasure of welcoming Darren on. Thanks, Darren, for jumping on this thing.
Thanks, Paul. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Um, you've been busy?
Yeah, fairly busy.
Yeah.
We're doing a fair bit of traveling.
Yeah.
This year's going to be a busy travel year.
Oh, yeah?
So looking forward to that.
Personal wise or work wise?
Personal, I'm retired now. I've been
Okay.
retired for probably 18 months ish.
Nice.
Um,
Congrats.
um, I was fortunate enough to phase into it. Some people retire on Friday and then they're completely retired on Monday. But what
Yeah.
I did previous to that, I was able to phase out of it, and it probably took 3-4 years to phase out.
Oh, yeah? What was your
Um,
career?
Real estate.
Oh, like sales?
No, I owned apartment buildings across Canada. So I
Ah,
had a small portfolio of apartment buildings and even single family homes. And then probably around COVID, well, definitely around COVID time,
yeah.
um, the market was right for me to start to look at selling. So I started to sell off my portfolio around COVID.
Yeah.
COVID was good for people that owned the product that I owned within real estate.
Right.
A lot of people were running for, I guess, safety and cover within the investment community.
Sure.
So it didn't exactly happen overnight. It kind of phased.
Ah,
But
interesting.
within about 18 months ago, I think it was pretty much wrapped up.
Oh, yeah? You miss
Yeah.
it?
Yes and no. Parts of it I miss. I
Yeah.
miss, you're with a lot more people.
Right.
Retirement's a little bit different.
Right.
And then parts of me, I was getting to the point where quite frankly, the reason I sold was I was starting to lose interest in it.
Ah.
And for, any kind of a business owner, you start to lose interest in your business, then it's not a good thing unless you've
Mm.
got an active manager that can treat it like their own, which that's going to be very, very, very rare.
Yeah.
So it was time to phase out
Mm.
for me. And then I developed this photography thing over a few years, and it
Right.
just kind of flowed quite naturally.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. Eh? So I mean, I guess pretty like recent then with regards to like photography then, eh?
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
interesting.
yeah. Pretty
Hmm.
recent, like within. My kids will laugh at this, but
Yeah.
I probably didn't know how to post on Instagram less than 2 years ago.
Really? And who
Like,
taught
not
you?
a clue.
Who taught you? Your kids?
They had a pretty big hand in it for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I was able to get in touch with a few people within the photography world
Right.
that helped me a lot
Okay.
on how to post, not necessarily what to post, but just the ins and outs, a little bit of social media,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
honestly, Paul, I knew nothing about social media. I was never
Int-
on Instagram personally, never on Facebook
really?
personally,
Not
nothing.
even for work?
No, no.
Really?
Uh,
Not interesting.
it If I was within the corporate world, for sure, I would have been on LinkedIn or things like that.
Yeah.
But as an investor, there was no need.
Right.
I didn't. I was fortunate enough that I didn't have to raise capital, so I didn't have to really build a community
Mm.
around that.
Mm-hmm.
If I had to do that, then, or if I was within the corporate world, then yeah, I would have definitely been on some sort of social media. And
Yeah. Interesting.
I didn't.
Wow, man. Interesting. So what made you get into photography then and like in the first place?
Primarily, it was my wife and I traveled a fair bit,
Yeah.
and we were starting to see some pretty cool things.
Right.
And I was just compelled to try to capture them.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know, 10 years ago, maybe 8 years ago, I started to look at, taking photos of places that we'd go on vacation primarily,
Yeah.
and then started to capture things like that.
Crazy.
Yeah,
Crazy.
yeah,
Crazy
we were in
trip, eh?
Africa a lot. Pardon?
It's a crazy trip, eh?
Africa is beautiful. Have you been?
I've never been.
It's quite a spectacular place. I highly recommend it if you can go. We were fortunate enough to go to Tanzania, the Serengeti,
Yeah.
and spent almost 3 weeks there.
Nice.
Yeah.
Like on your own or like on a tour type of thing?
We did it on our own.
Nice.
Well, we combined it as a tour, but we had our own guides that stayed with us. Over the 3 week period. We had two guides that, because we were in two different parks, the Serengeti National and another park that was south of there.
Yeah.
We were fortunate to have our own guides with us. We stayed at resorts along the way, or camps, safari camps, and then went out daily on safaris.
Epic photos.
Thank you.
Yeah. Do you have any favorites from the trip? They're all so good.
I really like to shoot the big cats.
Okay.
And we got really fortunate.
Like this guy or girl?
That was a female, yeah. We got fortunate in the timing that we went. The rains were coming, therefore the babies were being born. So we saw a lot of cubs. We saw some big prides. I believe the biggest pride was 30.
Really?
Adult. Yeah, it was incredible.
Wow.
They call them super prides. And so, unfortunately, the downside is lions don't do much most of the time. They're around and sleep. But if you get lucky enough to go when we went, the cubs are up and about and they're doing their thing nonstop.
Oh yeah. So you had like a long lens on you then, I take it?
No, like I have. There's probably a reel. I can't remember which one it is, but you could get, with no exaggeration, within touching distance of these things.
Is that right? Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
The lions, I didn't believe this. This was the second time we were in Africa.
Yeah.
And the first time, actually, the one reel at the bottom left-hand corner with that male laying down.
Yeah.
I think that image will show you how close that I was able to get with the vehicle.
Wow. Oh.
Here, that's within
Wild.
probably 15, 20 feet.
So is it just because like the lion is so used to people or just doesn't care? Like
A little bit of both.
Yeah.
They're used to the vehicles, not the people.
Right.
So you can't really move around or make a lot of noise.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you start to break up the profile of the vehicle, or the sound will make the lions pay attention. For example, we got stuck once, and our guide had to get out of the vehicle to basically get us unstuck. And what we were viewing were a male and two females up on a rock. They were probably 50 yards away, maybe 30 yards away. And they didn't care about us at all. They didn't look at us a second until he opened his door and got out of the vehicle.
Yeah.
And immediately all three of them stood up and came down off the rock.
Because it was different for them.
Changed the profile. It now became something else other than
like a threat, almost like a threat, I guess.
It could be a threat. It could be something to eat. It could be something to hunt. It didn't matter.
Interesting.
It's a very,
Interesting.
So driving around in vehicles, you can get I haven't posted it, but I have images of another vehicle and male lions basically leaning against the vehicle, like scratching themselves. Yeah.
But because like the profile was intact, it was okay.
Yeah. They know that this thing that is in this shape doesn't hurt them, doesn't do anything to them. They can't eat it. They don't care.
Were you nervous though? Like
I was the first time, and there were times that I got nervous. One time, my wife got really nervous, and in all fairness, I did too. We were watching a pride of lions with teenage cubs. So they were not quite adult, but they certainly weren't cubs.
Right.
And we were watching it during sundown to see if something was going to happen. Anyways, they strategically over about 10, 15 minutes
Yeah.
positioned themselves all around the vehicle.
Oh wow.
And it looked like they were hunting us.
Yeah.
And it seemed that they were allowing the young lions to chase the vehicle as we drove away. I talked to a bunch of people at the camp, photographer, and nobody had ever experienced that before. So that was kind of neat.
Whoa.
Scary, but neat.
Yeah. Well, gee, it's wildlife. This ain't the Toronto Zoo, you know?
It is not the zoo.
know,
There is absolutely nothing between you and them. And
Yeah.
they can jump in your vehicle if they choose to, but they honestly, they don't care.
They don't care.
As long as you don't make any noise or break the profile of the vehicle.
Right. Interesting. Epic, man. Epic trip.
Yeah, it's
Epic trip.
It is spectacular.
I really like the zebras.
I do too. The zebras are challenging because they're quite skittish.
Yeah.
And understandably so, because they are prey most of the time. So they run away from most things.
Right. I like that photo a lot. That's nice.
Thank you.
That's really nice.
Yeah, the drafts, they're beautiful.
Have you printed any of these for you, or?
I haven't printed anything from Africa as of yet.
Yeah.
And I may have a release in the spring or in the summer on the African stuff. I've probably got what I would consider print worthy, maybe 8 or 9, and have to whittle it down from there.
Are you picky, I guess?
I'm picky, and well, people that buy are pretty darn picky, rightfully so.
Right.
And the image needs to be at a certain level to blow them up. Some of my other releases, my images, I didn't expect them to be printed as large as people wanted them, but they were pretty big. So you need to have enough pixels, information, data.
Yeah. Wow, man. Cool. And what is so like? What do you do? Obviously, you're shooting winter.
Right. Yeah, I've been shooting winter for quite a while. We were in Montana for a while, and BC, as you can see. I've been fortunate enough to be home during the time that it's been so cold here in Toronto, and Niagara Falls have been very cooperative. Freezing, not the falls haven't frozen over, but the area around it is certainly frozen. So yeah, it's I made a conscious effort in the end of 2024 that I have so many images now. I'm going to post literally every day for 2025.
Yeah.
Have
cool.
Stuff.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. Hey, if you got it, you might as well post it, right?
Yeah, for sure. I do find winter challenging. It's challenging with the snow. It's with the depth of the snow. It's really challenging on the equipment. Batteries don't last very long.
Right.
Yeah.
So like is like your like thing like landscape? Like, would that be fair to say?
Yeah, if you're gonna define, or if I had to define myself currently right now, I would say travel, landscape, and cityscape, based on what I've seen, done, been to. Right. In 2024, I know I've got a couple projects that I want to lean into. I want to do a lot more flower stuff. Which would be close up of flower blooms, which I started to do some last spring and last summer in Toronto. So I'll do a lot, some more of that. And I also want to lean into some more abstract stuff, not just straight up imagery.
Like what?
Things like multiple images laid over. That I can work on in Photoshop. Creating, maybe taking 2, 3, 4 images and creating it into a brand new one. Multiple images.
Wow, cool.
A few things have kind of popped, and I've seen things which I'm still working on. I have to increase my editing skills tremendously. But but it's coming.
Well, do you like the editing process though?
I do.
You do?
I do.
Yeah.
Once I get into the groove, I can edit for quite some time.
Yeah.
But if I'm not in the groove or if I'm not in the mood, then it's
Yeah.
not.
Yeah. You got to be focused on it.
Yeah, I don't think I'm unique in that.
Yeah.
Shooting is fun, but it's only part of the job, or
Yeah.
part of the
Right.
whole, to get the image from
Right.
real life to actually print worthy, or at least Instagram worthy or Facebook worthy or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, it takes time, right? I mean, you've come so far in such a short amount of time.
Yeah, I was, I think probably 2017, 2018, I started to take it more serious. Fortunately for anyone, actually, you can go on YouTube and learn a ton of stuff off YouTube. That's where I learned most of my stuff.
Yeah.
As far as taking photos, editing images, and then just practice.
Right. Yeah.
And then got a little bit more serious. And to my wife's credit, she suggested probably 24 months ago to start treating Toronto like a brand new location. Because quite frankly, I never took my camera equipment out of its bag other than when I was on a trip, because I was working. So now that I'm not taking up all that time, I'm able to go out and explore a lot more in Toronto. And this winter has been Niagara, and in the spring it'll be a couple of different places, and in the summertime it'll be parks and stuff like that, exploring more floral photography, like macro stuff, which I really quite enjoy. I find that it's I wouldn't say it's easier as far as photography goes, but I find it's easier as far as getting to the area.
Right. Yeah.
From Toronto, that's where I live, is
20
minutes or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And to get there at perfect times, you're leaving at ridiculous times in the morning.
Yes.
And then it takes up half the day. Whereas if it's floral photography, I can go do that for 2 hours.
Yeah, exactly. More. Yeah. So you got like a macro lens on you?
No, I actually use a landscaping lens.
No way, really?
Yeah. I think it's 12 to 24. Can't remember. I'm not a gear guy. 1.8.
Yes.
Yeah, it worked great.
Okay, right on. So you just right up against that flower, right?
Yeah, I think I've got some images on my Instagram. It'll probably be pretty deep. It would have been sometime last summer, which I posted a few on, but
yeah, I found some. Wow. Okay, I see. Like this?
Yeah.
Wow. It's almost like a painting, man.
That one is another. That's another application that I've been exploring all winter. It is a painting, so that's multiple photos combined together, and then I've digitally painted an image, but not digitally painted the entire image. So I've left part of the image that you can look at, say it's a photograph,
right? And
then in this case, the background looks like a painting.
Yeah. Cool. I've never seen
and these images look, in my opinion, pretty cool when they're blown up on acrylic.
Yeah. You can hang this in the house.
Large format. Yeah, they're pretty cool. So this I've been exploring more from the editing perspective.
Yeah.
But I captured that on the lens that I described.
Really?
Yeah.
Cool. See, you don't need a macro lens.
No, I you know what? I'm sure there's a lot of advantages to it. I just don't know enough about it. And if we talk about this, Paul, in the next 6 months, maybe I'll be saying, hey, you need a macro lens.
Maybe. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing. It never stops. It just kind of keeps going and going, right? But it's cool.
Exactly.
I've never seen this kind of photo, like this kind of like art before. It's cool.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, I've been playing with it for probably almost a year.
Yeah.
And now that I've got more time, I can mess with it a little bit more. And it's a pretty, I think it's a unique application.
Yeah. It's very cool, man. So have you like sold this stuff before?
This stuff I have not sold.
Yeah, it's
I
interesting.
am currently putting together a small collection that I'll probably release on my site
Yeah,
sometime in the spring, early summer
right.
of this year.
Okay. And people just go on there and they just purchase, and then
Yeah.
how is it shipped? Like do you take care of the shipping, or is it off a third party?
No, my printer, it's all drop shipped.
Okay.
So my website's been built so that it links directly into my printer. We have a location in the US and we have a location in Canada.
Yeah.
Once I've authorized the actual purchase, which
Yeah.
actually the website does, I just have to say yes.
Yeah.
I don't have to do a
Give me
lot.
the money. Give me the money.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
directly goes to the printer and
Right.
they do all the work. So I go
Okay.
and I sign the stuff. I do the letters of authentication,
Yeah.
and then they drop ship everything directly to the customer via whatever courier makes the most amount of sense at the time.
Oh, okay.
Some people are UPS, some people are FedEx, some people
Right.
are obscure carriers I've never heard of.
Mm-hmm. And it works
Yeah.
pretty seamless, eh?
Yeah, it works really well.
It's
And
good
I
stuff.
find that these flowers do a really nice
Yeah,
job. They come out really, really nice in acrylic.
I
I've printed
bet.
them personally for myself just to see what they're like.
Yeah.
And they're pretty nice.
Yeah, I mean you can hang those anywhere, in a doctor's office,
Yeah.
like a
It's
lobby
funny
of
you
a
say that. I've gone to
building.
a couple of physicians' offices.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. Like it's just it's great because it's so like universal. Like anyone can hang that anywhere. Doesn't matter
For
what you
sure.
do. Doesn't matter what you do.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's great. I
Yeah.
like that. I like that. It's cool, man. So it's almost like a little side hustle in a way for you.
Pardon?
It's almost like a side hustle for you in a way.
Yeah,
A little
it's,
side business.
when I looked at retirement and I was fortunate, like I said, to ease into it,
Yeah,
I think you, I think you need something as an individual to do. Like you
of
need a
course.
purpose.
Yeah,
You need something.
yeah,
Art is a natural. Anyone can be an artist, in
yeah,
my opinion.
right.
Um, Certainly, anybody can be a photographer. You
Yeah,
don't have to be good. You don't like. You just you can take your phone and
yeah,
use it. You can get better over time. You can learn a lot of the artistic. Um, I don't like to say the word rules, but
yeah,
rules, and then once you learn them, you can break them,
yeah, of course.
and then and grow from there.
Yeah,
I think it provides people with things to do. It provides them with a reason to go on, and it's a purpose, for lack of a better word.
yeah, and you just feel good. Like you
Yeah,
just feel good after
yeah.
because
Photography
because
to
you
me
made something.
it was natural because it took me out. It takes me outside. In many of the cases, you're out
Yeah.
hiking for a couple of hours to get to a
Hmm.
waterfall or to get to whatever site that it is, to capture the image.
Yeah.
You can do it with multiple people if you want.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It could be a way to meet people, make friends, all that stuff.
absolutely.
Because it's you've retired. You're not dead. Like I said, it's such a
Exactly.
like the word retirement is such like a final. It has such a finality to it. Meanwhile, it's like
Yeah,
I still got stuff to do in my life. It's like I'm not dead
exactly.
here.
And what little I've read and what little I've learned is you need to one of the big drivers is learning new skills, because a lot of people
Yeah.
stop learning new skills when
Sure.
they stop working.
Yeah.
So photography or art, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Painter,
Yeah.
singer,
Yeah.
musician, it isn't
Hmm.
like you're learning something new.
Hmm.
For me, for example, I had to learn how to, it sounds funny, but to post on Instagram, had no
Yeah.
idea.
Well, it's a skill in itself, right?
Exactly. And then
Yeah.
how to up the skills within photography to make product that may or may not sell. So you post
Yeah.
it on a website. Why? So you have to get better at photography.
Yeah.
You have to get better at composition. You have to get
Mhm.
better at editing.
Mhm.
So it's always learning new stuff.
Yeah.
And so it uses different sides of your brain. And it, quite frankly, gives you people a reason to get out of bed.
Yeah, you need it. You need it.
Yeah, you
Otherwise,
can't.
like, you just sit around all day, which isn't good, right? So
No,
it's
no.
kind of boring too.
Yeah, I mean,
You know.
you can't play golf all day, every day, although some people
Yeah.
do.
Some people do
I
that.
say that because I play golf.
Yeah.
And I can't play all day, every day.
Right. Right. Yeah. Well, no, it's good, man. I mean, I think I don't know, like last time I went to a couple of there are a couple whatchamacallit, like artists, like summer outdoor artist gallery things, and like everyone was so super friendly and they all had such a good energy about them, and
Yeah,
they were just so happy to chat about you and like chat with you, and there's a real good energy with like artists in general. You know what I mean? I just
I
find that.
agree.
I find
Yeah,
that it's just like very positive, very upbeat, very uplifting, and you just want to chat with them, right? So us artists have to stick together, you know.
well, stick together and help each other out, and
Yeah,
is it can be what I've noticed now that I've been online for a while, as
yeah,
far as Instagram, and I, been able to follow some people and look at comment and a ton of comments that I get. I mean,
yeah.
there are a lot of artists out there that feel like they're out there by themselves.
Oh yeah, of course.
Uh,
It's a lonely place sometimes.
and yeah, I get it because when I'm out shooting, like if I'm traveling, I'm with my wife or with guides or with someone else.
Yeah,
But if I'm here at home, it's me and my dogs or just
yeah,
me.
yeah.
And so yeah, I could see people not feeling it a little bit as far as a
Mm-hmm.
connectivity to community.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's really important that, you as an artist and other artists, you can combine as a community.
Yeah, 100%.
And even, taking it to retired people. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
assuming you're not retired
I'm
quite
not
yet.
yet. I wish I was, but I'm not.
But eventually that's one of the big things with retired people too. Over
Yeah,
time, it's they become they live in a silo, and
yeah,
that it's just not healthy.
It's true though, right? Like, if one doesn't know where to go to like meet people, then they just kind of like, I guess, like stay in their ways, right? But
Exactly.
um yeah, no, it's a good point you make, man. So have you gone to like meetups and things to like meet other artists, or
I haven't done any meetups. You
uh,
mean photography meetups?
any kind of meetup, artist, any kind of like artist type of meetup, photography, whatever, any type of
I've
meetup
gone
like
to
that.
art shows and stuff like that,
Yeah,
but I haven't done anything not photography wise as far as
yeah,
meetups to go shoot at a certain location. Not as of yet, but I have been looking at joining it, even a camera club, just
yeah,
for that
sure,
purpose. I mean, we all have. I joined a golf course because I play golf, and
yeah.
everybody else there plays golf, so that just makes sense.
All right, right.
Um, why would so I'm looking at a couple of camera clubs, and
Yeah. Oh,
everybody
it's a good
there
way to
is,
meet people,
yeah, they're photographers. Learn something from them. Maybe they learn something from me. Share some
100%.
ideas. Why
Hey,
not?
it could be like the simplest thing, but you never know. That one thing may really just change your whole approach. You just never know
Oh, for
sometimes.
sure.
You just never
Yeah,
know sometimes,
what I've learned with cameras is, they're so technical now.
Yeah.
It's very easy not to know that much about them.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, we don't realize what we don't know until we realize we don't know it. It's like, oh, I didn't know that. Oh, that
Exactly.
was the thing? Oh, okay.
Yeah. Or you're around someone that knows and they're just doing something that you've never seen before,
Yeah.
and you
Yeah.
ask them like, what is that? And you didn't
Yeah.
even know your camera could do that.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
also keep in mind that stuff that other people may not know. So when you're doing, when you're with people, it's like, oh, these people may not know what I know, right? And again, you just never know
It's
who's in
very
that
true.
group,
It's
right?
very true.
Because it's such a, I don't know, sometimes it's a very intimidating like place to be with like people, and they got all these gear on them. It's like, oh my god,
Yeah,
these people must be so good. They got all this gear and they're talking about
yeah,
all these things that I don't even know what they're talking about. So it
yeah.
could be
That
pretty
actually that
intimidating.
reminds me. We were in Iceland a couple of years ago,
Yeah,
a year and a bit ago,
yeah,
and we're at a waterfall. Not surprisingly,
yeah.
and a camera tour came by, so it had to be
Mm,
15 or 20 photographers out on whatever tour they were on, and my wife and myself and our guide were there, and I was shooting stuff, and a lady came over. I didn't know she was part of the group,
yeah.
and and I have a habit of I shoot a lot of my stuff with my iPhone first. Like I
Okay.
just put my gear down, walk around,
All right.
shoot,
Right.
and figure out what composition, etc. I want.
Yeah.
And in I was shooting on the iPhone, and she asked me to if she could look at some of the images, and I showed it to her. And I was shooting this waterfall in live mode so that
Mm,
I could blur the action to see what it would simulate when I
yeah.
actually took a photo. She had no
Yeah.
clue
Yeah.
how to
Yeah.
do that, and she was
That's
part of the photography tour. And she was
crazy.
saying that
Oh,
half the people on the bus
yeah.
didn't know how to do that either
Yeah.
because they weren't taking pictures of waterfalls like that with their iPhones. They all
Yeah.
had the Canon this, the Nikon that, and blah
Yeah.
blah blah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Meanwhile,
and
meanwhile,
I just assumed everybody knew that
put
because
all
my
your gear down, guys.
pardon.
It's like put all your gear down. Let me teach you something.
Yeah, it was. I thought it was pretty straightforward, but apparently not. As you
See, you
said,
never know. You just never
you
know
don't know.
sometimes. Like it could be the most basic thing, but again, like there's just so much to like know that it's impossible to know everything, right? So
It's true.
it's
It's
cool,
very
man.
true.
Iceland's great too. I've been there a couple of times. It's a
Oh,
good
have you?
yeah, it's a
Yeah,
good
it's
place.
beautiful.
Yeah. It's
Absolutely beautiful.
yeah, it's a different world, eh?
Yeah, it is probably out of all the places I've been, one of the most unique, if not the most unique place.
Yeah.
Um, I didn't believe it until I
Yeah.
got there, and quite frankly, I don't think I believed it for 3 or 4 days.
Yeah. Yeah. It's almost like you're on Mars.
Yeah, that's a very
I,
good description. It was
that drive from the airport to like Reykjavik, it's like where am I?
exactly. It's a different world. It feels like a different world.
It basically feels like I felt like I was on Mars. I mean, this is how Mars probably feels, to be honest with
Yeah,
you.
yeah, yeah. We were fortunate enough to spend almost 3 weeks there, and it
Oh no
was
way!
yeah.
You
We
you
circumnavigated
drove
the
all
whole
around.
whole place. Yeah,
Was it the
and it was.
summertime or the wintertime?
We went in October,
Okay.
so the beginning was end of summer, and
Yeah.
as we got to the north, it was winter.
Nice.
It was beautiful.
Yeah, it's a great place.
I'd like to go back in the winter.
Yeah.
Um, to see what it's like. The crowds are a little less. It was pretty quiet when we were there.
Yeah.
But when the snow flies, and I can only imagine how some of the waterfalls would look and some of the landscape would
Yeah.
look
I know,
as
right?
it starts to
Epic.
freeze over.
Epic.
You've been there, so you'd know.
Yeah. Yeah, I went there for my birthday, which is in December, so it was cold. But
Yeah,
like the only reason I went is because I wanted to see like the Northern Lights.
the Northern Lights.
So
Yeah,
I saw them, which was great. I was only there for like a weekend, but I mean that was the whole purpose of going was to see like the Northern Lights, and
ooh, you're
it was
lucky.
it was yeah. I'm the tour guide that I was with. He took us out to like the middle of nowhere. He goes, oh, this is the best it's been in a month. I'm like, well, today's my birthday. He goes, well, happy birthday. I'm like, yeah,
Wow, good
that's
for
why I
you.
came here. That's why I came. So it was pretty crazy, crazy experience.
Lots of people go and they never see them.
Yeah, well, that's just that's the weather. You can't guarantee it, right? But
Hit and miss. Yeah, but
hit and miss.
when they light up, it's
Oh
incredible.
yeah, it was wild. It was absolutely wild. Yeah, I've been there in December, and then the other time I went in August, so summertime, which is cool. That's fine, But,
Yeah.
yeah, it was a great time. So where are you going this year then?
Tomorrow I'm going to Quebec City.
No way.
Looking
Driving?
forward. Pardon?
Driving?
No. We'll fly in and we'll spend a few days, almost 4
Nice.
or 5 days, and apparently it's supposed to snow every day. So I'm looking forward to that. Kind of like a small European town within Canada.
Yeah.
So that'll be pretty.
Nice.
And then in 3.5 weeks, I'm looking at my calendar. It's probably closer to 4 weeks. I go to
Yeah.
New Zealand for 3 weeks.
Damn.
Yeah, I've never been to New Zealand. I'm really looking forward to it.
You doing like the North and South Island?
Yeah, we land in the north and we drive all the way to the south and then fly home from there. Yeah,
Nice. That's
yeah,
epic.
yeah. It'll be fun. It'll be
Epic.
fun.
Jeez. All right.
Yeah, yeah. I just found out like 3 hours ago that I didn't know this.
Yeah.
But do you remember the braided rivers, the glacier-fed rivers in Iceland?
Yeah.
The pattern through the lava, I think it was lava sand, like black
Yeah.
sand.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Yeah, so we rented a plane and I've got images of that. And I had no idea until 3 hours ago
Yeah.
that New Zealand has the same thing.
Yeah.
So I'm working on that now.
You're doing like a little bit of scouting, eh?
Yeah, well, that's photography, as you know. It's a lot of
Yeah.
scouting. It's a lot of
Yeah.
work on
Right.
the upfront before you actually
Right.
get someplace.
Right.
Otherwise,
But is your wife also a photographer?
no,
Oh,
no.
so she has to like wait, like do like the wait and okay, that's cool.
She's okay with it to a point.
Okay.
She enjoys it. And there's compromises on both sides, and
Yeah.
we make it work. She
Make it
enjoys it.
work. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, you're New Zealand. You can't go anywhere. It's like
No, no.
yeah. Epic, man. That's
Yeah,
gonna be
New
so much
Zealand's supposed to
fun.
be very pretty.
Jeez, okay. All right. Well, I'll stay tuned to your pics. And I
Yeah,
think
you'll
it's
probably see New Zealand, I'm guessing, by October-ish.
yeah.
Yes.
Really, you're so behind, eh?
Oh yeah,
Are you
yeah,
behind? Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
I think I've got 3-4 trips that are still sitting on my hard drive.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I haven't posted at all.
Man.
So yeah.
Cool. So
Yeah.
you've only started to travel since you retired?
No. We
Always
traveled
traveled.
a fair bit prior to that. Been fortunate enough to do those things.
Okay.
And that's where I started to get interested in photography. It was just trying to capture where we were going.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, when I started, I really sucked. Like I'd get
Yeah.
home and look at the pictures, and they were absolutely horrendous. Like it was awful.
Really, eh?
You think at first I had a little point and shoot, and so I kind of blamed it on the camera, and then I went and got a little bit more of an expensive, not in today's world, an expensive camera. I think it was a crop sensor
Yeah.
Canon Rebel 1, like as entry level as you could possibly get.
Sure.
And the images still sucked.
Yeah.
Until I started to go and look on Instagram. I was on Instagram and I just wasn't posting anything.
Okay.
And seeing what other individuals were posting from the same locations.
Right.
And it was, I got to start learning how to do this. So that's when I went to work and into YouTube and that kind. And fortunately, we have those kinds of assets now. 20 years ago, it didn't really exist.
Yeah, 20 years ago, you would have to go to like a school,
For sure.
like a night school or something.
And to be honest, I when I first bought that camera,
Yeah.
I went to I think it was called the Toronto School of Photography.
Oh, yeah.
And I hired, call him an instructor because I can't remember what he did,
Yeah.
but he knew everything there was to know about photography. And I spent 3 hours with him, and I walked out of there, and I swear, Paul, that I was more confused than I walked through the front
You're
door.
like, what have I got myself into, kind of thing.
Oh yeah, this guy wanted me to shoot manual. He wanted me to shoot this.
Oh.
He wanted me to shoot that. Like,
Yeah.
whoa! I have no idea what he's saying.
Yeah,
And
you got to
so-
start. Yeah, it's almost like baby steps, right? You just got to little by little.
For sure. Yeah.
It's too much, right? It's too much.
Yes, and especially with the equipment we have nowadays, I mean, you can throw it all on automatic, and
Yeah.
go and learn composition, go and learn lighting.
Well, that's like, I think that's like where like the skill comes in too, right? Is being able to like compose, right? Because you can have the best camera in the world, but if you miss the shot, like for example, if you miss the lion roaring,
Yeah.
and you missed it, like it doesn't
Yeah.
matter how good the camera is, like you missed
No.
the shot. So to me, it's like being able to like anticipate moments, being in the right place at the right time, and just being ready
Yeah.
to take it. Because especially when you're dealing with like life, you're not in a studio, like you can't ask
Oh
the
yeah,
person to do it
absolutely.
again, like you need to,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So that's,
There's
I
no.
think to me that's where like the skill comes in, you know.
Yeah. Anticipating it, and yeah, there's oftentimes there's no do-overs. You just miss it.
Yeah, and then like that feeling sucks because you knew you missed it. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah. I've been there so many times, like just, oh damn, should have got that, should have got this. But again, that's just like
Exactly.
experience, right? Like that just comes with experience. So
Yeah, and that's where I so respect some of the wildlife photographers that I've been
yeah.
lucky enough to meet with, and their patience, it's
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah. They're in like the hide for like a week just waiting.
Absolutely incredible. And
Oh,
they're studying the behaviors and the traits
correct.
of
Correct.
whatever animal they're looking at, and so they can anticipate things.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's impressive.
Who's like a really good wildlife photographer in your eyes?
There's a good guy in Quebec. His
Yeah.
name
Should I Google it?
is E.T.
Yeah.
Etienne. I can't speak French. Etienne, I think.
Tremblay?
Pardon?
I changed Tremblay?
That sounds right.
I just Googled it.
That sounds right.
Let me see if this guy's a wildlife. Oh, he is. Okay, let me show you the screen because you'll know. He's got a big lens.
Well, yeah.
This dude?
That's him.
Jeez.
He's good.
Whoa. Okay. These owls are like gonna come through the screen at me or something.
Exactly.
Oh my god. Wow, look at that lens this guy has. Holy smokes. Yeah, eh? And he's from Quebec, eh?
Yeah, someplace I'm not sure where.
Whoa. Cool.
Yeah, I've followed him for quite a while actually. He's good. Yep.
Damn. Yeah, he's got some good stuff. All right. Well, man, these owls are something else.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, it's good to like kind of like take in like inspiration from others, and then you can kind of take that and like apply it to your own work, kind of thing. You know, like
Yeah, for
see
sure.
like how they like approach their shots and compose and all that. You know.
Yeah, I mean that's the way I've learned.
Yeah.
And that's the way it was suggested to me from multiple people that I learned. Go and see someone that you like doing whatever they're doing, and learn from what they're doing, how they use light, how they whatever.
Yeah.
And build from there, and then trial and error.
Right. Yeah.
Getting out there and just doing it.
Yeah. Well, that's the only way to really learn.
I think so.
Because
Yeah.
you can watch all the YouTube videos out there, but until you actually pick up the camera, it's I don't know. It's kind of like learning how to drive. Like you don't know how to drive until you actually learn like drive the car. You have to drive the car to learn to drive. So
Yeah.
same kind of concept, right? Because
Yeah, absolutely.
otherwise, it's like
Yeah, and you work at it, and
yeah.
and 9 out of 10 shots that I took for a long time were not good. They ended up in the garbage, trash.
Yeah, you never kept them just for your own sake.
They're still on my hard drive.
Yeah.
But I can't imagine what it must have been like during film days.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if you would ever shoot film.
You know what? That's never really interested me.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It hasn't.
Never say never.
Exactly. I mean, who knows? A year ago, I wouldn't have been talking to you and telling you, yeah, I'm going to really lean into some abstract stuff, or
Right.
do some what I'll call painterly flower stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just no, but now it's interesting.
Yeah. Well, you kind of like also expand your horizons too, especially when you like talk with other people. They kind of expose you to different things,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
like because it's so
yeah,
easy to get stuck in your own head
yeah.
sometimes.
And I also find that even like I follow a a lot of non-photographers on social media.
Yeah.
They're painters, they're drawers, they're sculptors. It's interesting to look at what they do and how they think, and you can apply it to photography all the time.
100%.
And
100%.
some of these people are, I mean, they are talented. It's
Yeah.
incredible what they can do.
Yeah. 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 You just never know sometimes, right? I mean, I think it's super important to like get out of your own head and just try to like be exposed to different things because otherwise you just be doing the same thing like over and over again, you know? And,
Well, yeah, like the floral photography stuff, that painting, I didn't know that that was possible. But
yeah.
I one day I saw a painting, and I thought, well, why couldn't you do that digitally with photo?
Okay.
Because I knew you could actually get software somehow. Let's call it Photoshop or
Yeah.
whatever,
Yeah.
and learn how to paint a digital image.
Yeah.
That's been around for a long time.
Yeah.
But then how do you actually layer multiple images within that and then not paint part of it,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
paint the rest of it? And then that was just trial and error and peeling layers of the onion.
But you took that initiative on your own,
Yeah, I
like,
mean, but
to figure it out.
somebody planted that idea when I
Yeah.
looked at an image. I don't know, I can't remember what it was, but it was a picture of a flower. I was like,
There's a
that's
way
really cool.
there's a way to get this done digitally.
Yeah,
Wow. Yeah, no, it's interesting, man. I mean, you never know where ideas come from. They just come all of a sudden.
exactly.
You don't know like how it happened. It's like, oh, I got this idea now.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
well, it's good that you follow through with it.
Sometimes
It could be a whole thing for you. It could be a whole like different
it
like
could
hey,
be.
it could turn this whole thing for you now all of a sudden.
I don't. I have no idea. I do
Yeah.
get. I will say that there was a lot of very positive response from social
Yeah.
media, so
Right.
that's got to be a good thing.
Has to be a good thing, yeah.
Because as everyone knows, what you can post stuff that you think is great,
Yeah.
and you get crickets, and you
Yeah.
post something else that you think it
Uh,
could be great too, and it goes through the roof.
I don't know why that happens, but it does.
Exactly.
All the time. All the
Yeah.
time.
So to me, if I enjoy it and I like it,
Yeah.
and I want to spend more time doing it, and other
Yeah.
people like it, then it's a win-win.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, it has to be like you would have to enjoy it too. I mean, I always say you gotta make it for yourself first
Oh, for sure.
because once you post it, you have no control. So as long as you know that it was
Yeah.
for you, then that should be good enough, right? Because some people only post for like for the external validation, and then
Yeah.
when you don't get that, then you're more prone to like quitting, right? Because you're not getting that validation
Yeah, I agree. I've heard that a lot, and I've read it
all the
within
time.
comments
Yeah,
that I've received, and I would agree with that completely. You
yeah,
got to do it for yourself, and if it's good enough for you, then that's it.
yeah,
And if other people really like it, then great, that's a bonus.
yeah,
But it needs to be good enough for you,
yeah,
and then your job's done, so to speak, as an
yeah.
artist.
It
Like,
sounds easy. Yeah, like I listen to like for example like Rick Rubin, and he always says
yeah,
like
yeah,
he says the audience comes last. Like
for
it
sure.
comes last because like you need to make sure that what you're doing is for the art, and then you release it, and then you just move on, right? So
Yep.
and I do agree with it, but we live in such a like a very noisy world where we're all trying to like break through the noise, and sometimes we only think that the only way to break through is to like follow the trends and follow what's cool and follow what's like what's taking off, but
Yeah, and I think that's pretty easy to. I think it's an easy trap to fall into.
very easy.
Um, I think it's from. I can only speak for myself. I don't have to. I'm not doing this to put a roof over my head.
Yeah,
Um, I'm not doing this to put food on the table.
Yeah.
I'm doing this for enjoyment, and if I don't like to do it, then I could shut it off tomorrow, so to speak.
Yeah, of
Um,
course.
so, but as long as I continue to enjoy it, and I think Rick Rubin, right?
Yeah.
I have heard some of his stuff, and
Yeah.
it's hard to argue with his experience and for what he's
Yeah.
done uh, within the artistic world.
Yeah.
And his philosophy seems to be very. I agree with it.
Yeah.
What I've heard.
Yeah. It's yeah, he's had some success. So, definitely give it a listen. I mean, his book is great too. The Creative Act is a great book in terms
Oh,
of
I have to
just like
check that out. I didn't
in
know he
terms
wrote.
of like, yeah, he has a book out, and it's just great. It's just like art in general. He's just talking about artists in general.
Yeah.
Um, that book is good, and then The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield is another great book for like artists. There's a lot of great artist books out there, I find. I just kind of delve into like the artist world and the artist mentality and the artist kind of like struggle.
Yeah, I mean, it can be a struggle for sure,
Yeah,
right? To get noticed, what I found, like, to get noticed on social media, if you wanted to be and you're trying to really increase follower count or
yeah,
likes, or
sure.
that would be, if that was your main goal, that would be a big challenge
Yeah,
if
100%.
you weren't hitting on all cylinders.
Yeah,
Um, and the Instagram changes, Facebook changes, the algorithm
yeah,
changes.
changes all the time. Yeah,
It's a business, so whoever's sticking around um, for the longest will. Right now, it appears that it's video is the king.
yeah,
Um,
sure.
that could be different tomorrow. It was almost different when TikTok got shut down,
Yeah,
but it only lasted for 24 hours.
yeah.
So now
So
video's back to being the king again.
yeah,
How long will that last? No idea.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. I mean, short form video is king.
Yeah, yeah,
There's.
that's
I
true.
think like I don't like I don't know like if people. There's only so much you can consume a day, right? There's definitely a difference between short form and long form, and
For
I don't know.
sure.
I don't know. I think people will still want the long form in the long run because I was listening to like another podcast and they were telling me he was like a documentary filmmaker and he was basically saying that like Instagram Reels and shorts and all that, it's like fast food. Like you can only eat so much fast food, right? But sometimes you really want a good meal, and that's where like the long form content
Yeah.
comes through. So he was kind of saying, you know, stay focused on the long form content because that's what's really going to last in the long run in terms of like society, right? So I don't know like where like the short form goes because like the short form content, like so sometimes you go on and it's like you're not really paying attention to like what's happening on the screen. You're just kind of like scrolling mindlessly, and then I don't know. It's a weird
I
feeling
don't do
sometimes.
that. Like this is gonna sound strange, but I
Yeah,
think I'm more of a producer, so I post
right.
and
You're a
that's it.
creator, not a
Like, I don't
consumer.
really consume.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah,
I do to a certain point,
yeah,
but if I'm on social media more than 15 minutes a day, it's a big day.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
It's something happened that day.
exactly, like so, whatever it was.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
but I do understand that a lot of people are not like that.
no.
So they're constantly consuming, and to constantly consume is in what you say in short form is
It's a lot of fast food.
it's going to wear out.
It's not good for you. It's not good for.
No,
Yeah,
no.
that's. Especially if you like to create. I think it's way more important to create more than you consume. Like, I always want to create first before I try to consume anything. Like, I try to do my work first, and then if I want to, I'll try to consume. Because if I find I consume, then I don't know. I'm not in the right headspace because you have to be so focused when you're doing your thing that
Yeah,
you only have so much you only have so much brain energy during the day that you really need to conserve it sometimes and really
right.
put that to like good use.
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
Editing or whatever. It's like you gotta stay focused on this task, right? So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I don't know. Short form, we'll see where it goes. But People are making money. I mean, what are you gonna do? Some people are making money off it, right? But
Yeah, whatever.
it is
That's
what
fine.
it. Yeah, no, it's good, man. So, like, what do you like? I mean, would you ever like show your work in like a gallery and stuff? Because some people have come on and saying they don't want their work to be shown on Instagram first. They'd rather have their work shown in like a gallery type of thing.
I I don't really. I wouldn't say yes, and I wouldn't say no. Like
Okay.
if a gallery approached me and said
Yeah.
we'd like to show X pieces, one to whatever,
Yeah.
I certainly wouldn't say no to it right out of the gate.
Mhm.
Um, but I'm not chasing a gallery
Okay.
or galleries to show work because, quite
Yeah.
frankly, in today's world, you don't really need them.
No. No.
Now, it can help some people,
Yeah.
and other people like to go the other way,
Yeah. Yeah.
social media or just their website or what have you. In today's world, with the technology that can support, especially within photography,
Yeah.
and the consumer getting so comfortable with buying products and services online,
Right.
it's a different ball game than it was even 5 years ago.
Mm,
10 years
true.
ago, absolutely.
True.
But is there still, in my opinion, space for a gallery? Absolutely. They
Yeah.
drive traffic, they get customers, they do things that they have access to people that currently I don't have access to. So yeah, I would entertain that. A lot of my pieces they're big. So
Yeah.
people that will be buying those need big walls, which implies they have big houses. So
Mm.
not all of the people that have big houses are on Instagram, as an
Right.
example,
Probably not.
but they're walking through a gallery on
Yeah.
Saturday or Sunday afternoon.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I like that. I like that approach.
I mean, I
No.
would entertain it either way.
Mhm.
I wouldn't go exclusively through a gallery, and I don't know if any art. I don't know the business well enough
Oh,
from that side. I would
yeah.
think you could still produce stuff that you can sell other than what's sitting in the gallery.
Yeah.
But I have met photographers that are exclusively through galleries.
Yeah.
Works for
Yeah.
them.
That's where the work is shown only, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I have met. I'll paint this with a broad brush with artists.
Right.
They seem to not like the business side of being an artist,
Mm.
selling their work.
Mhm.
And so if you don't like that, or if you don't want to learn that,
Yeah.
um, then gallery is almost the only way you can go.
Yeah.
Um, Whereas for me, business isn't a bad word. I've always been a business person, so
Mhm.
it means nothing to me.
Yeah.
It's what is the market? What is, and then learn that and understand that.
Yeah.
And if you have a product or a service that sells,
Yeah.
sell it. Great.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But
Like,
some artists don't like that.
yeah, it almost goes against like the artist mentality of being like, you know, being a salesperson is because they're two different skill sets, right? So
They can be,
yeah.
for sure.
Mm.
But I think you can have both. It's almost
Yeah.
like, well, myself, for example, I didn't do anything artistic all my life
Mm.
until quite recently.
Yeah.
It, that was it. Clearly, it was always there. I just
Yeah.
didn't access that part of the brain.
Mm.
Whereas an artist who is accessing that part of the brain, could access the other side of the brain, which is analytical,
Yeah.
business, and it's there.
Yeah.
If you don't want to open the door, you don't want to open the door. But
Yeah. Interesting, eh?
that's
Yeah.
my
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Wow. There. Well, I'm glad that you opened that door for yourself, because
yeah, it's
it
been
would be
good
a
so
shame
far.
not to. You know? It'd be a shame
Pardon?
not. It would be a shame not to have opened the door for you.
Yeah, it's been fun, and again, back to the retirement stuff. If people don't have something to do, and in my opinion, everyone can be an artist.
Yeah, like
because you
that.
don't have to be Van Gogh or the latest photographer or
Yeah,
the best sculptor on the planet. Just go and do it and enjoy it.
yeah,
Um, and it can only grow and you can only get better. I mean,
yeah, I like that. No, it's a good point that you make for sure. I mean, you just never know where it goes. You just gotta keep going, right? So
no, I have no idea. Like when I
yeah,
did it, to be honest, Paul, I had no idea
no
I could
idea.
sell anything, and
Yeah,
that wasn't the idea. I got coaxed into actually building a website and putting images on my website for purchase.
exactly.
And even up to the moment that I sent out whatever it was, 15 emails to family and friends, I
Yeah.
was convinced that I wasn't going to sell anything, like for sure. And I
Yeah,
thought within a week, I'm taking the website down
yeah.
and that's it.
Okay. It's still
But you
up.
can surprise yourself.
Yeah, exactly. You just never know. You just gotta like do it, right? Especially when you're not doing it to like put a roof over your head. Like there's no pressure on you to like sell.
Yeah,
I think
for
I think
sure.
that I think that's where like the advantage comes. Like people that want to quit their jobs and do photography full time, like that's pressure because now you do need to make an income, right?
Absolutely.
But when you come from a place when there's very little pressure, then you have a lot more freedom to like make the stuff that you want,
Yeah, you make
you know?
yeah, and I can make the stuff that I like and
Yeah,
then put it out into the world and
yeah.
hopefully other people like it. But if they don't,
Doesn't doesn't phase you, doesn't like doesn't you just carry on. And I think that's when like when you're I always find like when you're like the least when you're just in a calm state of mind,
yeah,
things happen. Like just things happen when you're in a calm state of mind
exactly.
because you're not trying to force anything, right?
Exactly.
You're not trying to
And I
force anything
think
to
that
happen.
Rick Rubin, I think
Yeah,
I'm
he
pretty sure
probably
he
said it.
talks about stuff like that, that,
Probably
you
did.
just gotta
I
just do it.
probably Yeah, I think it's important for, people that want to make it a side hustle or full time, like just understand like, what's involved because
For sure.
you're not gonna make $1 million overnight. So
No, I've been asked through, again, comments or DMs primarily that,
yeah.
people have, and don't quit your day job.
Yeah, don't. Like just
Like, don't.
don't yeah, just don't.
Do this and enjoy it and learn it and
Yeah.
get really good at whatever it is you're doing, and then maybe there comes a time that you do it full time, but then
Yeah.
and I've never done it, so I've never had to actually, as you say, put a roof over your head or put
Yeah.
food on the table. I don't know what that would feel like.
Yeah. Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
there could be a different, it could change things. I don't know.
Yeah, that's why people start to hate the thing that they love to do, right? Because they want to make their thing into their full-time
Exactly.
thing and then, things don't happen the way that they wanted them to. So
Well, actually, you say that.
yeah.
I had some work in my house done in the
Mhm.
last 2 weeks, talking to the
Mhm.
contractor,
Mhm.
and he's an artist.
Mhm.
Just that's what he does. He paints and stuff.
Cool.
And one of his customers,
Yeah.
also an artist,
Yeah.
and he built him a full studio 5 years ago, maybe 10 years ago now,
Yeah.
so that he could do it full time.
Yeah.
And then it became a job. And
Mm.
in his mind, it was now a job and he hated it.
Yeah.
And I thought that is such a shame because
Yeah.
clearly the guy did something. I don't know what it was, but
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it was painting or sculpting or something.
Right.
Um, and he didn't like it like he did
Too
when it
bad.
was a hobby.
Too
Should always
bad.
treat it like a hobby. Just enjoy it.
Yeah, that's a shame, eh?
Yeah.
It's a real shame. Yeah, gotta be careful sometimes. Don't believe everything you see on social media.
Yeah.
Take it with a grain of salt.
A big one. Yeah.
Big, huge grain of salt.
Yeah.
Well, we're up against the hour, Darren. So I just want to say thanks again for coming on and jumping on this thing.
Thank you. It was fun.
Yeah. Any final advice words for the people out there?
Do what you like to do. Shoot what you like,
Oh yeah.
and then just put it out there. And
Yeah.
if people like it, they like it. It's and grow from there.
Yeah, I like
That,
that.
that would be it.
Yeah, cool. What do you think your strongest skill set is in terms of like in terms of photography?
Um, that's interesting because I think it changes all the time.
Yeah.
Composition, I'm starting to get pretty good at. You know what? Every time I take a picture and edit it and get it ready, I can see. This is going to sound strange. The more I learn, I almost feel like the worse I get, because I can see such. 10 years ago, I would not have seen the mistake. Would not have seen that little micro thing that could have been better, that little glimmer of light that should have, that kind of thing.
Yeah. I get it. I get it.
So I don't know what the strongest suit would be. That's a good question. I'm not sure.
All right. Well, maybe we'll save that for next time.
Yeah, sure.
I'll say that for next time. I'd love to have you back on. Maybe after you come back from your 18 travels, it'd be great to see some photos.
Absolutely. It's gonna be a busy year.
Yeah, no, I'm so jealous, man. Be epic. Everyone, thanks everyone for watching and listening. Go check out Darren. Links are in the description. If you want to buy stuff, go check out his website, and safe travels, man.
Thanks, Paul.
We'll see you next time.
Thanks for having me on.